Alright, listen, you better buckle up and strap up, cause now we're about to dive in and we're gonna expose the transgender's agenda. Let's go.
But Dr. Money is seen as a pioneer on the psychology of gender fluidity, identity, and expression. He believed that an individual's gender was a social construct that was determined by their upbringing. In the summer of 1965, in the city of Winnipeg, a mother gave birth to two twin boys. The twin boys, named Brian and Bruce Reimer, had difficulty urinating when they were only a few months old. Doctors recommended circumcision, who later found out that an electrical cauterizing machine had malfunctioned and burnt off Bruce's genitalia. Months later, when they came across the charismatic Dr. John Money describing his work with transgenderism, after contacting Dr. Money and describing their situation, he agreed to help. Bruce, he decided, was to be raised as Brenda. The case of the twin boys became an unethical and tragic experiment, as Dr. Money's research ultimately ruined the lives of the Reimer family and caused the premature death of both twins. A few months later, Brenda underwent surgery to remove the rest of his reproductive organs. Under the strict understanding that the parents must never inform Brenda of his true identity, the parents raised him as a girl. The twins were to meet annually with Dr. Money, where he would sit privately with them and examine how they were developing. The twins later described how Dr. Money would force them at a young age to undress and perform dominant and submissive positions in front of him, while he allegedly photographed them.
I could see that Brenda wasn't happy as a girl. She was very rebellious. She was very masculine, and I could not persuade her to do anything feminine. Brenda had almost...
Alright, yo, hit that like button on the way in right now. Listen, man, to join the button, hit the join button, buy a membership, join the Jedis right now. We're about to dive all the way in. This is getting crazy. If you feel some type of way about this, change right now. You understand what I'm saying? This is not for everybody, but everybody should be for this. Let's go.
Almost no friends growing up. Everybody ridiculed her and called her cave woman. She was a very lonely, lonely girl.
Dr. Money for years continued to write about his successful experiment on the Reimer twins, despite the fact that Brenda later transitioned back to being identified as a male. Brenda became known as David and eventually married. However, the traumatic upbringing of the twins ultimately led to both boys committing suicide.
Nah.
And that, my friends, is the origins of gender ideology, born from a depraved, perverted child abuser, and its so-called implication resulted in two individuals committing suicide.
Come on in right now, share this video, y'all.
An atheist Jew, was the first homosexual and transsexual advocate of the 20th century, and also performed the first sex reassignment surgery.
What?
Karl M. Bayer, a Zionist Jew born in Germany, was the first female-to-male transgender surgery. Back in the United States, all the major lobbying organizations for transgenderism and child gender confusion is done by, you guessed it, God's not-so-chosen people. National Center for Transgender Equality, founded by Mara Keisling, a Jew. Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund, founded by Gillian Weiss and Michael Silverman, both Jews.
What?
GLSEN, or Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, directed by Eliza Bayard, a Jew. TSER, Trans Student Educational Resources, founded by Eli Ehrlich. And Sylvia Rivera Law Project, a legal aid organization that advocates trans rights, founded by trans activist Dean Spade, both of which are Jews. There are so many more examples available with just a bit of research, but now you have to ask yourself a serious question. At what point do coincidences become meaningful? So far, we have seen that countless influential Jews in the last 150 years were either atheists or agnostics. We have seen that much of the degeneracy that has polluted our media and culture has been spearheaded by atheist or agnostic Jews. We have seen that the Zionist state of Israel was created and led by atheist Jews, and we have seen that the symbol Jews chose to use aligns with God's condemnation of pagan practices in the Old Testament. Lastly, today's Jews in Israel are largely irreligious, grossly liberal, and actively advocating their degenerate liberalism everywhere they can.
Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully. That's how you understand what a ritual is. So 20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. It wasn't because I was a prophet. It's just I had gotten so much information that I understood that things are secular. So I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. And so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass ring.
Really?
And it said both of those things. So I knew that both of those things would become popular in the future. And that somehow calling people the goat would be normalized.
Oh, shit.
The sheep being always the most popular reference.
What in the name of grooming is this crap? The PRISM program, connecting LGBTQ+ youth to train peer specialists for emotional and mental health support and mentorship. Okay, so we all know how these fucking psychos like to speak entirely in euphemism to make everything that all the terrible things that they promote sound good, like nice and warm and fuzzy. This is just like grooming little kids to take hormone blockers. That's what this is. And to chop their bits off. So we're gonna have to go ahead and yoink that shit right off and toss it directly into the receptacle.
Good shit, good shit.
Next to it, because that is the kind of shit. And you need to train your brain and your eyes to notice that sort of shit. And where it belongs. Just right fucking there.
This is the agenda, guys. This is the agenda. Pay attention, man. Share this video. Hit the like button, man.
The atrazine pumped into our water supply did turn the frogs gay, as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. explains.
There's atrazine throughout our water supply. If you, in a lab, put atrazine in a tank full of frogs, it will feminize every frog in.
My name's Scott Nugent. I'm a lesbian, and I'm a trans man. I'm here today to put an end to the idea that medically transitioning children is about human rights. It is not. It's about money. Market research predicts that gender-affirming care will generate more than $5 billion a year in less than a decade. The truth is that medical transition is experimental, dangerous, and it doesn't cure anything.
Quote, a prominent doctor and trans rights advocate admitted she deliberately withheld publication of a $10 million taxpayer-funded study on the effect of puberty blockers on American children after finding no evidence that they improve patients' mental health. Dr. Johanna Olson Kennedy told the New York Times that she believes the study would be weaponized by critics of transgender care for kids, and that the research could one day be used in court to argue we shouldn't use blockers, unquote.
In fact, your question, there's only 7 studies that stated that medically transitioning children is beneficial, and every single one of them has either been modified with not enough time or participants, or, oops, we were sorry. We now have children's hospitals all over Europe, halting and banning all childhood medical transition, calling it the worst medical scandal in modern history. I underwent close to $1 million worth of surgeries and hormone therapies to change from Kelly to Scott, a trans man. And then I almost died in the process. And I certainly have cut many, many years off of my life. In fact, I probably won't live long enough to meet my grandkids because I still, to this day, get recurring infections. Nobody knows why. But again, 95% of all medical transition is experimental, except for top surgery. We have no idea what's going to happen to these kids because it's never been studied.
Right.
But we are seeing early onset osteoporosis. We are seeing hearts and lungs the size of 12-year-olds. And if you couple that with the only long-term study that followed these transgender people for 30 years in Sweden, Sweden is the leading country for transgender medicine. 2 months ago, they halted and stopped all medicalization of children. Do you know why? Girls' spines are not fusing together properly while on puberty blockers. We have 15-year-olds walking like this for the rest of their lives.
Damn.
And they won't live past 30.
Alrighty, this book is Gay by Juno Dawson was found in a 7th grade classroom at Collinswood Middle School. It was also on the ELA recommended reading list for 7th graders at J.M. Robinson. I'm going to read from chapter 9, The Ins and Outs of Gay Sex, starting at page 201, part 1, Boy on Boy Sex. Perhaps the most important skill you will master as a gay or bi man is a timeless classic, the hand job. Good news is you can practice it on yourself. The bad news is each guy has become very used to his own way of getting himself off. Learning how to find a partner's personal style can take ages, but it can be very rewarding when you do. Something they don't teach you in school is that in order to be able to come at all, you or your partner may need to finish off with a handy. A lot of people find it hard to come through other types of sex. That is fine and certainly not something you have to apologize for. A good handy is all about the wrist action. Rub the head of his cock back and forth with your hand. Try different speeds and pressures until he responds positively. A bad handy is grasping a penis and shaking it like a ketchup bottle. Finally, my misunderstanding about rubbing two peens together wasn't far off the mark. Rubbing them together in one hand feels awesome. Mega combo handy, trademark pending. It's no wonder that 92% of CMS graduating seniors aren't college or career ready when you're instructing them on how to give blowjobs and handies instead of teaching them how to add and subtract. Superintendent, you stated this book was, quote, brought into the classroom by a teacher with no intent to allow students access. Any teacher that puts material like this on his or her bookshelf is either a bad teacher or a pedophile who grooms children.
2 minutes are up. Thank you.
You will go out November 8th.
I was tricked
Crazy.
at 42, at a vulnerable place. One day I thought, God, maybe I'm born in the wrong body. I was married to a woman who just despised being a lesbian. And one comment of maybe I was born in the wrong body. Next week, I was sitting in front of a trans woman therapist who asked me, how long have you been dressing like a man? At 42, that sentence has changed the trajectory of my life. You guys don't seem to understand that I'm not going to meet my grandkids because of this crap. You see, I was perfect just the way I was.
The industry that convinces troubled children
See that?
changing their gender will solve all their problems. She also documents the enormous regret of those who took irreversible steps to alter their gender. Many of them are warning others not to make the same mistake.
20-year-old Chloe Cole, a self
Yeah, I've been telling people this the whole time, man. We not trying to say we hate, trans or gay people. Not at all. But we're saying is this is not normal. It's not normal for you to not be who you was created to be. Pay attention.
described former trans kid is leading the fight to protect children from transgender surgeries. Chloe detransitioned following years of taking puberty blockers and an irreversible double mastectomy at the age of 15.
We need to stop telling 12-year-olds that they were born wrong. My childhood was ruined, along with thousands of detransitioners that I know through our networks. This needs to stop.
Many of these young people wanted to find themselves and had no idea of the impact transitioning would have on them.
They were told that the reason that they didn't feel comfortable at school, the reason they didn't have a lot of friends, the reason that they didn't feel special is because they weren't in the right body, and that if they got into this right body, that all of their problems would disappear and they would feel happy and content and fulfilled. And of course, this is a lie.
She contends that what proponents label gender-affirming care is really puberty and hormone blockers, followed by, in many cases, gender-mutilating surgeries in which there is no going back.
If a detransitioner speaks up and says, I went through those puberty blockers, I went through the hormones, I got the surgery, and I'm not better, in fact, I'm much worse, and I'm missing body parts, that completely contradicts the narrative that these trans activists are selling.
A woman is a female part of humanity made in the image of God who bears the female qualities endowed from birth for the purpose of procreation and nurturing of the fruit of her womb. You must be able to procreate to be a woman. A woman is one of a unique given design which enables her, with the aid of her husband, a man, a male, to produce life within her womb and all the essentials to provide for that life thereafter. The best milk, any pediatrician will tell you, is a mother's milk. A mother is a female. A female is a woman. A woman is a female who's a mother. Female is a woman, born that way, with a womb. No, I'm saying that because you would look at me and think that's strange, right? So why do you accept it when people say foolishness in culture? Why are we afraid to tell truth? You hear someone saying something that's so ridiculous, but we stand up and choose to accept it. Can I say this? The more we accept things that are not based in reality, is the more we're giving in and making it so in reality. If we allow people to change definitions of words that cannot be changed, like the sun cannot be the moon. It doesn't matter what you say, the sun will still be the sun and the moon will still be the moon. Like darkness cannot be light. It doesn't matter what you say or how you feel about it. Well, I don't feel like light is light today. That's okay. You can stay in your feelings. It doesn't change reality. Why am I saying this? We must know how special and unique motherhood is.
Oh man, this was crazy, man. This was a message directly from the commander himself. Salute to King Smarty. Cause this one got crazy, y'all. This one got crazy. This one got crazy. Yeah, this one got crazy, y'all. Let me tell you something. Nobody ever wants to talk about the transgender effect and how it affects our kids and our youth and our females and also the men on the planet. It's affecting everybody. Listen, hit that like button, share this video. Let's help bring more awareness and help more people find the hustle, man. If you are feeling generous and want to support the channel, the super chat is on. We got a whole bunch of products down in the description. Also, hit the join button and buy a membership. I have them down right now for 99 cents at a limited time. Get a membership, join the Jedis. It's time to do work.